And a very good morning to you. This is the Talk of the Town. I'm Faraz, and our guest today is Dr. W.A. Wijewardena, who's, of course, the senior retired Deputy Governor of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka. Very good morning to you, Dr. Wijewardena.
Very good morning, Faraz.
And Dr. Wijewardena, tell us, why is it so difficult for Sri Lanka to get some help? We seem to be going with the begging ball everywhere, but no one's playing ball with us.
Well, there had been certain preconditions that had been laid down by the International Monetary Fund to provide this bailout facility to Sri Lanka, and except one condition, all other conditions have been met by Sri Lanka right now. That condition, which is the most important one and which is still outstanding, is the restructuring of Sri Lanka's foreign debt. The Sri Lankan authorities, Central Bank and the Ministry of Finance, had taken action as long ago as April last year to initiate action to restructure it, and they had appointed advisors, legal advisors and the financial advisors, and they started working on that immediately. But unfortunately, what happened was, when it comes to reaching an agreement with all the creditors with respect to the money that had been lent to Sri Lanka by the bilateral creditors, we have been able to get China and India on board with all other members, all other creditors of the country. India has, of course, recently has announced that it would go along with the members of the Western countries, which are formed into an informal body called the Paris Club, and they would agree with that. But China has been a reluctant creditor. In the beginning, China said China doesn't want to go by a reduction in the principal amount or the interest that Sri Lanka should pay to China. Instead, China offered a new loan to Sri Lanka, which was not what the Paris Club wanted China to do. Then recently, China had made an announcement that it would offer a debt moratorium to Sri Lanka for 2 years, which means that China will not charge interest and the principal that we have to pay half yearly to China. But what would happen is that amount would be added to the principal amount, and therefore we'll have to repay a bigger amount than before. So instead of reducing the level of debt of Sri Lanka, it will actually increase the level of debt of Sri Lanka. Then we have another problem right now coming up. The international sovereign bond holders also have been organized into an ad hoc body, and they have written a letter to the Managing Director of the International Monetary Fund saying that, in their opinion, the domestic debt of Sri Lanka should also be reorganized, which it means the domestic debt will have to be restructured, and the total financial requirements of the government will have to be reduced from the current 28% of GDP to some 13% of GDP between 2027 and 32. What it means is the government will have to shrink itself. It should become a smaller unit rather than the big inflated unit that we have.
And Dr. Wijewardena, is it at all sustainable for China to say, look, we're not going to give you a haircut. We want our interest. We want to maintain the rate, and we'll just give you a long time, further time. So forever and a day, this country will be in debt, quite literally, to China.
Well, from the point of view of China, it is sustainable to the lender. But from the point of view of the borrower, it is not sustainable to us because, as I have told you, we have $33 billion out to commercial lenders and the bilateral lenders. And for Sri Lanka to have a sustainable debt level, that $30 billion should be cut by about, say, 50% to, say, $16 billion. If China's proposal doesn't help Sri Lanka to cut it down. So therefore, China's proposal is not sustainable from the point of view of the borrower, the Sri Lanka government, and as a result, it will not help us anyway.
And is it equally non-sustainable for Sri Lanka's local debt to take a haircut?
Well, the local debt right now is not unsustainable, it is sustainable. But if the situation arises that the government of Sri Lanka is no longer able to borrow from the market and repay the maturing treasury bills and treasury bonds, and government has to only get the central bank to print money to repay them, then our debt also will become unsustainable. But if that happens, what would happen is that we will lose not only the IMF facility, but also we will have a serious threat to the financial system of the country. So that is why the central bank is trying its best to avoid this particular situation today.
Well, the sobering thoughts. But thank you very much, Dr. W.A. Wijewardena. Thank you for being on Talk of the Town. It's now time to rejoin Domina Sankar on the Morning Fix. Thank you.